Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 256 for August 9th, 2022. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On today's show, the NFL preseason kicked off with the playing of the annual Hall of Fame game in Canton, and the NFL has also decided to appeal the 6-game suspension of Deshawn Watson after all. In this week's history lesson, we tell the story of two incidents on the gridiron that led to the mandatory use of face masks in football. But I'm not here by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is my son Adam.
I'm going to tell you what, man. I'm very excited for Hard Knocks tonight, man.
Are you channeling Dan Campbell?
I've been channeling Dan Campbell ever since he became head coach. No, so, I mean, I was always kind of bullish about the Lions getting and putting on Hard Knocks. You know, for years I was like, nope, don't want to do it. Don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Keep us as far away from Hard Knocks as possible.
Yeah, I was the same.
And gosh darn it, if I'm not excited for tonight.
I
Technically I won't watch it till tomorrow, but I'm excited for the internet to just blow up. It just there's already been on fire because
so
of
many clips have already been put out there on Twitter and
it's nuts.
Facebook, and
people are actually like feeling hope. So this is the thing, and we'll talk about it more because we're gonna have a special episode of the World of Football tomorrow. Kind of giving our thoughts and recapping the episode, probably just talking about it. And if y'all tweet about it at us, we'll talk about your tweets. That's what I'm thinking we'll do.
Yeah, if you watch the show tonight, because we're not watching it tonight, we're going to watch it tomorrow.
I'm sure we'll put up something. But yeah, tweet at us. Use the hashtag Hard Knocks, but tweet at TWOF Kalamazoo on Twitter. And we'll try to share your thoughts on that episode too.
Yeah, we'll see if everybody liked it as much as we did.
Yeah, because we'll see what happens. But man, I can't believe I'm excited. It is like the night before Christmas. I'm not even going to lie. It's a really weird feeling. But we got a lot to talk about, so let's get to it.
All right. We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show, as well as other selected videos. So let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right, and as usual, we're going to start this week up in Canada. That's right, we're going to talk about the Canadian Football League. It was week 9 up there, and on Thursday saw the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeat the Montreal Alouettes 35-20, Winnipeg remaining the perfect team they've been all season long.
Yep.
And then Montreal, on the other hand, they played well in the first half. You know, they hung with the 2-time defending undefeated Grey Cup champions. Got to keep adding to the list of their names. It's becoming like a Game of Thrones title. But so they played well in the first half. They intercepted a couple of passes. They recovered a fumble. And, you know, the score was tied 14-all at the end of the third quarter. But they play a fourth quarter, everybody, and that's when Winnipeg scored 3 times, including a 57-yard punt return for a touchdown by Janarian Grant. How about that play?
Yeah.
That was something special. And then Winnipeg quarterback Zach Collaros threw for 210 yards and 2 touchdowns and those 3 pesky interceptions, but still got the win out of that one. So even with 3 interceptions, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers can't be stopped.
They just keep finding a way to win. I mean, you throw 3 interceptions in a game. He only threw for 210 yards. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at, but still, it wasn't a dominating game. You know, like you said, tied 14-14 at the end of 3 quarters. But somehow, this team just keeps finding a way to win, whatever it takes, whatever they have to do.
Or is it Montreal finding another way to lose? Because we've seen Montreal just kind of implode on themselves after looking great.
It was a good game through 3 quarters, but Winnipeg showed why they're the best, and boy, I don't see anybody beating them here.
This early in the season, no. These other teams got to start buckling up and trying to figure out what they need to do.
The season's half over. It's not early in the season. It's early in the year, but
the season's so long. I still consider this early. Halfway is still early in the season. Yeah. You know, from here on out, you got to start figuring your stuff out.
I think I also heard that they're only the 4th team that's ever gone 9-0 since the CFL became a separate.
Has there ever been an undefeated team in the CFL?
I don't think so.
So
I don't.
we'll
I
see.
don't know, but I don't think so.
Are we witnessing history? Time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see.
Then on Friday night, the Calgary Stampeders took out the Ottawa Red Blacks 17-3. This was a game that saw no offensive touchdowns for either team. So apologies if you ended up sitting through this one. Calgary kicker Rene Paredes kicked a 51-yard field goal in the first quarter and a 36-yarder in the second. While Calgary defensive back Titus Wall intercepted a pass late in the second quarter and returned it 46 yards for a touchdown to make the score 13-0 going into the half in favor of Calgary. On the other side of the ball, Ottawa's only score was a 24-yard field goal by Lewis Ward with about 5 minutes remaining. Then another thing of note, Calgary head coach Dave Dickinson missed the game due to COVID-19.
Yeah, it's still out there, people.
Special teams coordinator Mark Killam served as the acting head coach for the game. So, yeah, this is going to be something I still think will pop its ugly head in every once in a while in the NFL. So
yeah, we'll see. I don't think we're going to see the kind of situations as last year in the NFL anyway.
They're going to turn these guys around a lot faster, especially if they've been vaccinated. Like, oh, you get it on a Monday, we could get you in by Friday. So as long as it's not like a last second thing, I mean, I'm sure they'll. This will be minimal, but
like I said, it's still there. It's still out there. People are still getting infected. Some people still don't want their shots, which I don't understand. But it's still there. It has not gone away, and it probably won't be going away anytime soon.
All right, and in our CFL Game of the Week, as I'm dubbing it because I actually got to sit down and watch this game, the Toronto Argonauts came back to defeat the Hamilton Tiger Cats 34-20. What a game this actually ended up being.
Yeah.
It was a fairly close game through three quarters, and Hamilton led 17-6 going into the fourth quarter.
17-16.
17-16. My apologies, misread that one. But in the fourth quarter, Toronto blocked a punt, and it was returned by defensive lineman Benoit. Marion.
I was going to say Benoit, but
it might be Benoit Marion, 24 yards for a touchdown. Then defensive back Chris Edwards intercepted a pass and returned it 40 yards for a touchdown to secure the win for Toronto at the end of the game. Yep. Even then, Toronto was down for a while, and when I started watching, they started chipping away. They were down 17-6 or something. I think at one point they started chipping.
They had the lead, not a big lead, but not insurmountable, obviously.
Right.
But by the fourth quarter, it was
definitely a tale of two halves. Hamilton, and they even showed the stats during the game. Hamilton has been a first half team. They put up big numbers in the first half.
Yep.
That second half is a total different scenario.
Yeah.
But Toronto quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson threw for 230 yards and a touchdown, while Hamilton quarterback Dane Evans threw for 303 yards in the loss. The two teams will play again this week in Hamilton, and we already saw some bad blood during the game. I believe we even saw a guy get ejected. So get ready. This is the best rivalry in the CFL.
Toronto and Hamilton don't like each other. I mean, they're so close together, like about a half hour, 45-minute drive apart. And the teams and the fans just really don't like each other. So this should be interesting.
Yep. And as I yawn.
Yeah, I thought these were the second best highlights.
Oh, you thought these were the second best?
Yes, because saving the best for last. The highlights for this next game, I thought were the best of the week.
All right. Well, according to Randy, this next game, the British Columbia Lions defeating the Edmonton Elks 46-14. British Columbia quarterback Nathan Rourke threw for 5 touchdowns in the first half of the game. Underlined, bold, exclamation point, however you need to. 5 touchdowns in the first half. Incredible. 3 of them went to wide receiver Dominique Rhymes. And then
3 touchdowns for him in the first half.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then on British Columbia's side, wide receiver Lucky Whitehead, a name that I always love hearing. It's been a while since we've heard his name.
Yep.
Also caught 6 passes in the game for 148 yards, including a 69-yard touchdown in the second quarter. Rourke completed 34 of 37 passes for 477 yards and 5 passing touchdowns. He also ran for another, so 6 touchdowns on the day for him. Pretty good.
What didn't this
If
kid
you had
do
him
in
on
the
your
game?
Canadian fantasy team, you did really good.
Absolutely.
Then British Columbia even attempted a rare fake field goal in the first quarter.
Yeah,
and
I couldn't believe that when I saw that in the highlights. I don't think I've ever seen a fake field goal in the CFL.
And I can't believe that there's no notes in here for the Edmonton team. This is all. It was all British Columbia.
It was all the Nathan Rourke show. It didn't matter what Edmonton did. They just they played hard. They played well, but there were so many fumbles and interceptions and Just weird little plays during this game. That's why I thought these were the best highlights, because there were so many quirky little things that happened from both sides of the ball. So these were the best highlights of the week, even though it was kind of a beatdown by British Columbia.
I think this classifies as a pure beatdown.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to watch any of these highlights, go to CFL.ca and check out the British Columbia.
Hey, even
win.
a blowout presents
check out
some
this
great
Nathan Rourke
highlights.
kid. He's in his second year, basically, a rookie and a half, but man, is he good. He is good.
Yep, I'm liking Rourke. And then on bye this week, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who will travel to Edmonton to play those Elks next week. Hopefully the Elks put on a better showing than they did this week.
Yeah, they need to get their act together.
All right, then looking at the standings real quick. Because of that win, Toronto sits atop the East with a 4-3 record, followed by the 2-6 Tiger Cats, the 2-6 Alouettes, and the 1-7 Red Blacks.
Now there's a division for you, that East Division. Wow,
boy.
They're all so close. Only 3 games separate the top team and the bottom.
The
team.
East is pretty much just, let's see how bad we can be and still win the
Yeah.
division. That's what that division's
They're the
ended up
best of
being.
the worst.
And then on the other side, it is the cream of the crop, the best of the best. Winnipeg at 9-0 on the top of that West Division, followed by the 6-1 British Columbia Lions, whose only loss was to
Winnipeg.
Yep, and then the Calgary Stampeders next with a 5-2 record, whose 2 losses were only to
Winnipeg.
And then the Saskatchewan Roughriders at 4-4, and the Edmonton Elks at 2-6. And why did you sound like the Budweiser frog at that point?
I don't know.
That was a weird.
I
That was
don't
a
know.
weird choice. But guys, that's it for the scoreboard.
Next week we'll
No,
have...
I was gonna say there's no National Arena League because their
Right.
championship game is next
Yeah.
week. No Indoor Football League because their championship's next week.
Yep.
So
we'll have those scores next week.
We do have some NFL preseason, but we're gonna kind of lump all that in with the Hall of Fame weekend here in a second. So we're gonna jump over to Randy with the news.
Yeah, starting out in NFL news, there was an NFL game actually played. The Pro Football Hall of Fame game in Canton was played after about a 45-minute rain delay.
Yeah.
They had some lightning.
Tuned
and
in to
whatnot.
watch this, and I just had to sit around and watch a stinking 45-minute rain delay.
But in the end, it was the Las Vegas Raiders over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 27-11. Nobody cares about the score. This is the only preseason game that we talk about all year. Preseason, we don't care. Hall of Fame game is kind of cool because it's the start of the season. It was kind of cool knowing that we've been in that stadium now, and
Especially so recently.
Yeah, and you see views from different angles, and you go, oh wow, we were sitting right over there and had a great time, and it's a really nice stadium if you ever get a chance to go see a game there.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. About 23,000 is what it seats, and very nice venue. But yeah, all the speeches. I didn't get a chance to see all the speeches on Saturday. I caught some of the highlights. Of course, Dick Vermeil. I knew was.
Dick Vermeil had some of the best ones.
the best.
I
He
think
was
the
the last
NFL
one.
NFL's Instagram even put together a compilation of all the thank yous he had in his speech alone. It was like a minute of just thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, and he said he was forgetting a bunch of people too, or didn't have time to get to everybody. But yeah, he was pretty cool.
And then when you think about it, seeing Dick Vermeil, and all the other guys who were part of that greatest show on turf, now in the Hall of Fame, just man, it makes me go back. And this must be how you feel sometimes. Like, man, I remember the greatest show on turf back in the day. What a collection of dudes they had on that team. What a great set of players that would eventually become Hall of Famers. Like, man, and when you're living in that moment, you're not thinking, look at all these Hall of Famers. It's just, dang, I'm watching a really good football team right now.
Well, and Kurt Warner was there too, of course. And
he's
his
one of the guys.
quarterback. So I'm wondering, if they hadn't won that Super Bowl, would either of those two guys be in the Hall of Fame right now? That one season and that one Super Bowl got both of those two guys in the Hall of Fame, I believe.
I think that winning the Super Bowl helped. I think
sure.
what also helps is they were good. They were good for a few seasons. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl the very next year and lost to the Patriots.
Right.
They were heavy favorites in that one. So if it weren't for the Patriots dynasty becoming a thing, it could have been the greatest show on turf dynasty.
Yep.
So, but I mean, regardless, you even look at Dick Vermeil's resume. I mean, like they mentioned it in his little introduction thing, was he revived so many bad football teams into good teams. Like, what was it, the Chiefs? He did the same with the Eagles.
Yep.
And then doing that with the Rams. I mean, obviously his only Super Bowl win was with the Rams. But the fact he turned teams around, that's a good coach. I mean, it's so hard to win a Super Bowl. There's only 50-something Super Bowls. Like, only one out of the 30 teams is going to end up winning it every year. So, I mean, still a heck of an achievement by that guy. And I think their whole Hall of Fame class, I saw some bits and pieces from all the speeches, typically good speeches, but I noticed that the crowd didn't look as packed as it was for a Peyton Manning / Calvin Johnson / Charles Woods. Last year was a pretty stacked one.
Right.
And I think next year they already said who the kind of the eligible guys who are going to be going into next year's Hall of Fame, like Darrelle Revis and a couple other guys. I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, these guys are shoe-ins. Next year's going to be a big year for the Hall of Fame. So
yeah, I'm really glad that Sam Mills made the Hall of Fame.
Sam Mills, yep.
Yeah, and they told his story. He was cut by a couple of teams. He went up to Canada and got cut by Toronto. Then he went to the USFL, had a couple of really good seasons in the USFL, and that's when he got picked up by New Orleans and Carolina Panthers, and yeah, I remember him in the USFL. He was fantastic. Just an undersized linebacker, but man, could he play! He was awesome, and I was so glad when he got a shot in the NFL. And boy, did he make the most of it! And there's a statue of him, I guess, outside the Panther Stadium.
Isn't he the only Carolina Panther in the Hall of Fame, or one of two? I saw a stat of saying how many teams have guys in the Hall of Fame.
I don't recall. I did post that. That graphic that came from Fox Sports on our Twitter feed that talked about how many Hall of Famers for each team. I don't recall. I know that Tony Boselli was the first Jaguar to get into the Hall of Fame, and I think there's two teams that don't have anybody in the Hall of Fame yet. The Texans being one.
Yeah, the Texans and Jaguars are two. I'm not sure how up to date this list looks like. But the Panthers have Panthers that's one of their first guys to go in the Hall of Fame. Then I think if this is accurate, this could be an old graphic, but I could have swore that's the same one I came across. Okay.
Well,
on
Panthers
Twitter.
and Jaguars came in at the same time, whatever year that was, but
1995.
95. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're relatively new along with the Texans. So it would make sense they might not have a whole lot of Hall of Famers in the Hall of Fame yet, but yeah, it was. From the highlights that I saw, it looked like it was a really good time. The weather looked great. It seems like it's always good weather for Hall of Fame weekend.
It usually does. I can't remember the last ceremony that was ever rained out.
Yeah, but, you just don't see that in Canton. So,
but I think I'm just scrolling through right now trying to find that graphic, and man, I might not have sat down and watched everything, but good for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
All those guys who went in. So you got Tony Boselli, Cliff Branch, Leroy Butler, Art McNally, Sam Mills, Richard Seymour. He had some good stories. Dick Vermeil, Bryant Young. So a bunch of great, just a good collection. I think this year's not going to stand out like last year, but it's a good collection of dudes. And I'm trying really hard to scroll through and see if I can't find that graphic. Yes, okay. So finally, I scrolled through and I found it because it's actually in order. So the teams. Can you guess at least the team with the most Hall of Famers?
Patriots probably, or Cowboys.
The Chicago Bears with 30. Come on
now.
The NFL's been around a while. Okay. 30 Hall of Famers for the Bears, 27 for the Packers, and then 26 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then at the bottom you have the Houston Texans with 0. You have the Panthers with 0. I guess now 1 if Sam Mills counts. Yeah. Then the Cincinnati Bengals and Jacksonville Jaguars both with 1. So... Because Boselli comes walking down. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. Boselli was walking down, because the Jags were playing in the game. So that's their first Hall of Famer.
Yep.
So good for them.
Yep. Okay, moving on to some other NFL news. The NFL, who originally said they were not going to appeal the 6-game suspension handed down by an arbitrator on Deshawn Watson.
Oh, don't tell me they changed their mind.
They changed their mind.
Oh, my gosh.
And now they are going to appeal, and they've already... selected somebody to look into this, and Roger Goodell picked former, it was
like a New Jersey,
attorney or attorney general maybe for the state of New Jersey. I can't remember
something like that.
But yeah, and it sounds like he's going to give the guy whatever Roger Goodell wants him to have.
Just when we thought we were out of the woods, we were we could start putting this behind us. Then this all went down.
This is going to drag on.
Oh my
because
gosh.
Now the NFL Players Association has said that they're going to sue the NFL over this whole fiasco. If they didn't have the opportunity to appeal, both sides had the opportunity to appeal. But it seems like once you go to an arbitrator, aren't you supposed to go along with whatever the arbitrator says. Hey, we might not like it.
To my understanding, what I thought their agreement was. Despite though they did both have this option to have an appeal if they felt like they needed to. But like we were saying last week, I thought that it was like, look, as much as you want a bigger suspension for him, why appeal it? That's just going to cause a bigger headache. And the NFL chose the bigger headache. Yeah. So as much as I agree that it should have been a longer suspension, I know a lot of people feel that way. Part of me would second guess, like, look, the arbitrator says 6 games. Let's just put this headache behind us and move on. Yeah. But we'll see what happens now. It's just going to get messier.
Yeah, it is going to get messy. And it's going to be a distraction.
And does that mean Deshaun, if they don't get this settled in time, does Deshaun play week 1?
Well, yeah, I think you can still play while your appeal's going on. So he'll probably start the season.
So there we go with that situation.
And he might be yanked.
But then the big rumor that I saw going around was that the NFL really wants 12 games because that 12th game is against the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
They really want to avoid Deshaun playing Houston for some reason. Yeah. That's like the one game supposedly that they want them not to play or him to play.
Well, I don't know. I think the NFL's pushing for an entire season and make him have to reapply to come back in the
league. Or at the minimum 12. Like I said, that rumor is that they at least want a minimum of 12.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But like I said, it's going to be a mess.
When we just thought when it was over.
Yeah. The NFL also came out and said that it wants its officials to emphasize illegal contact fouls this season. I guess there were an average of 97 penalties for illegal contact called between 2000 and 2020. But there were only 36 fouls called last season. And this is mainly where a defender is running down the sideline with a wide receiver, and he's not supposed to touch him after 5 yards, and they're not calling the illegal contact. That it's like, well, let's just let them play. Yeah, there's a lot of hand jockeying going on, and they're pushing and shoving each other, and I think the NFL just says, hey, why not be calling these things more? And so they've asked the officials to at least look for those types of penalties. So we'll see how that goes early on.
This is what they're worried about, when they instead should be getting rid of this nonsense BS, roughing the passer stuff, when you just graze a helmet.
Yeah.
I'm sick of that stuff.
Yeah.
If it looks egregious, throw the flag.
Sure.
But if a dude is just like holding his hands up like, oopsie, like I'm not trying to hit the quarterback and his hand just grazes the helmet.
You touch the helmet with your pinky.
Oh my
God, that's a flag. You're the worst person in the world.
Especially if you're in a Detroit Lions uniform. It seems practically automatic. Just utterly, I am sick of the utterly ridiculous stuff. They never emphasize the stuff that fans complain about. It's always this other stuff that's like, no, okay, I'm fine with this hand jockeying or whatever. Or like a little bit of contact here and there, as long as it's not impacting like a guy's route. Like, let the guys kind of play. Let a defender defend. Let a wide receiver try to get open. If it's egregious, throw the flag. But I mean, come on, these wide receivers are all freak athletes anyway. I'm pretty sure you could throw a hot potato at him, they're still going to catch it with a dude in his face. Like, come on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, too. That'll probably be a whole non-issue this whole season.
Yeah, maybe not. We've heard that in the past.
People will forget all about this in a week.
We've heard that, where they want to emphasize something and it was not even a big deal. Maybe it is for like a week, and then it just kind of trickles in.
And I don't think this came out of any rules committee meeting. So,
no, I don't think so either.
I don't know where this is coming from, but that was a story that came out this week. All right. Every year we have to tell the same story. The Dallas Cowboys are the most valuable sports team in the world. I think this is at least the third year in a row, if not 10th year in a row.
Yeah.
And this is according to something called Sportico, which I'd never even heard of Sportico until a couple weeks ago. But, this used to be the annual Forbes list.
Right.
It comes out in Forbes magazine.
Maybe the Forbes list is still coming.
I don't know. Is that what they are now? Did Forbes become Sportico?
No, Forbes is still Forbes.
No idea. But anyway, they're saying that the Dallas Cowboys are valued at $7.64 billion. And then on the list that I saw, it listed the New York Yankees as second at $7 billion. But in the years past, they would come out with two lists. They'd come out with
all sports teams,
all the sports teams in the world, and then just the NFL. So it'd be two separate lists. But this year, they just came out. At least the one that I saw anyway. They didn't mention any other teams other than the Cowboys and the Yankees. They didn't mention any of those European soccer teams. What is it? Manchester United or all the big soccer clubs over there in Europe. So I don't know who else made this top 10 list, but they did have the complete list of the NFL teams. So of course Dallas is number one. The Rams are at number two at $5.91 billion.
You get a nice $1 billion state,
Yeah.
that really helps. And winning a Super Bowl seems to help them too.
Yeah, all the merchandise and everything, sure. But New England Patriots at 3, Giants at 4, 49ers at 5, the Bears at 6, valued at $5 billion. The Jets at 7, the Washington Commanders at $4.78 billion. Philadelphia Eagles, and rounding out the top 10, the Denver Broncos at $4.65 billion.
Yeah.
So, you've got some teams that are, winners year in and year out, and then you got a team like the Bears and the Jets and the Commanders that, haven't done real well lately.
Usually goes with the city they're playing for.
That's true.
If you think about it, the Broncos didn't win. I mean, the Broncos won a Super Bowl not that long ago, so they could still be feeling residual from that.
Yeah.
The Eagles won a Super Bowl not that long ago. The Commanders are one that they've always kind of been up there. I don't know how or why, but they've always had a big fan base. The Jets, the Jets honestly baffle me. The Bears kind of baffle me. The Niners have been pretty consistent.
Yeah, they've been
California
decent.
team, that's also
playoff teams,
But I mean, I'm just going through this list. Like, how are the Houston Texans at number 11? Is that a Texas? Is that a Texas factor?
I
don't know. But then you look at the bottom. Let's jump to the bottom of the list. Yeah, of course, our Detroit Lions are down there at number 31 with $2.86 billion. That's still nothing to sneeze at. But this team just played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And we've seen a big fan base, come out of the woodwork for this one. But how are the Cincinnati Bengals just sitting at the last spot at $2.84 billion?
Yeah,
I mean, and with this new stadium deal, does that increase it now? Are they going to be cracking a $3 billion number next year?
Yeah.
Are we going to see a shift at the bottom? Are the Lions now going to be the lowest of the low? But then you got the Jacksonville Jaguars at 30 with
the
two,
Bills
with
Buffalo Bills,
2.94. Yeah, then the Bills right above them at 29 with 2.99. So those four teams there are yet to crack the $3 billion mark. So we'll see.
Yeah. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 24 too. Man.
Oh yeah, they just won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
This list, I didn't.
You also think about it though. A lot of those numbers are getting pretty close together, so it's just a matter of like,
right?
Okay, you're 3.54 for the Kansas City Chiefs at number 20. Right. It's just a little bit more than the Ravens 3.435. So we're talking about like a couple of sacks of cash that Scrooge McDuck's throwing around.
Right.
Is the difference between these two teams?
Yeah, look at the difference between number 1 and number 2. Dallas $4.644 billion, and number 2 Los Angeles $5.91 billion. So there's a couple $1 billion.
Well, that's at the top of the list. I think so. The Cowboys might be the lone exception to be like.
But then look at that. Everybody else, the next few are all $5 billion. So you get down to the Bears at number 6. Then they drop into the $4 billion mark, and everybody's $4 billion until you get down to number 17, Atlanta. That's when you break into the $3 billion mark, and then the $2 billion mark starts with number 29 at the Bills. So. I don't know. Like I said, I just saw the list. I didn't see, this was something on Twitter or whatever. So I didn't have all the statistics on how they came up with this number. What did they factor in to come up with that number?
I'm sure somebody went to every stadium, grabbed all their receipts, sat down, added it all up on their
abacus.
Abacus. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. You knew exactly where I was going with that visual.
So I'm
sat
sure
down with their abacus.
I'm sure there's a formula, but
they set their sundial so that when the sundial goes from the top to the bottom, they'll stop counting.
Yeah, but this is interesting. We talk about this every year, and it's always the Cowboys, and a few teams at the top, and then there's everybody else, and of course Detroit's always right there at the bottom somewhere as far as team value. But we'll see after they win the Super Bowl this year where they actually put the Lions at.
Let's not get too cocky. Let's get through Hard Knocks first there, buddy.
All right, let's see. Amazon is teaming up with some bunch of guys called Dude Perfect, some YouTubers, for alternate Thursday night streams. I'm not familiar with these guys.
Yeah, we were looking them up because I was like, who are these guys? They only have 58.1 million subscribers on YouTube, posting 297 videos as I'm looking at their page. I don't know any of these guys. Like, I might have seen a couple of their videos in the past. I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's anything special enough about these guys. And I could be wrong. I mean, there's literally 58 million people who are watching their stuff. So is this the NFL just being like, let's just give every YouTuber a chance to host an NFL game or whatever? You know what? Get Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning on there. I'd watch that. Are you kidding me? These guys who aren't really into sports ball and they talk sports, I'm into it. Let's do it.
Obviously, Amazon is trying to bring in the younger crowd, the YouTube watchers and the millennials and whatnot. But like I said, I'd never heard of these guys, and from what little I know about them, they sound like a bunch of jackass wannabes. Maybe I don't know.
I'd rather watch
I've
the
never watched
Jackass
any.
guys do a game, to be honest with
Well,
you.
maybe they'll be on there too.
Johnny
Who knows?
Knoxville and Steve-O doing a game. I'm all into that.
But
Look
they're
at
not.
they have a video from 3 weeks ago. These dude perfect guys, 6 million views 3 weeks ago for a video.
What was it called? What were they doing? In this video?
Bucket List Desert. Then they had one a month ago called Model Rocket Battle 3, 15 million views. So it's not. I mean, clearly these guys have an audience.
Yeah.
Whether or not they jive with us personally, I mean, hey, I'm sure there's some other people out there who like these guys.
And these guys, these Dude Perfect guys, are not going to be on every broadcast. They might do a couple, and they don't have a schedule for what games they're going to do. And this is just one of many different alternate streams that they're going to have for people to watch, or to listen to on the game through Amazon. So it's just one of many. But I'd never heard of these guys.
Well, speaking of alternate broadcast, what about the Peyton Manning, Pat McAfee partnership for the McAfee casts doing college football this season?
I have not heard about that.
Oh, man, you need to look that up. I'm looking at their thumbnail for that. I'm like, how did we not talk about this? The McAfee broadcast, they'll be simulcasting six, as he quotes, six big-ass college football games. So there's a video of him talking with Peyton Manning about it. So
Are they coming to Western Michigan?
I don't know, but
For
they
a
said
game against
big
the Ohio
games. They said
Bobcats?
big games. But I'd be into that. So I'm surprised we didn't talk about that talk about alternate broadcasting.
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard anything about the Manning brothers coming back yet.
Oh, come on. I thought they had a
You
3-year
assume they will be doing alternate broadcasts on ESPN.
Oh,
for
yeah. I'm
some
sure
Monday
maybe
night games.
a couple weeks we'll get some more details on that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, a little early yet. All right, here's a story you don't want to talk about.
Boo!
Ravens kicker Justin
Boo!
Tucker signs a 4-year, $24 million contract extension with the Ravens. $17.5 million is guaranteed with an $11.5 million signing bonus. This now makes him the highest paid kicker in the NFL.
We're talking about a kicker. Stinking kicker.
He has one lucky shot.
One lucky kick that hit a
66
goal
yards,
post and
hit
got in.
It wasn't even a clean. It wasn't even a swish.
It was
man.
a delay
It
of
had to hit
game
the
call
rim
that
and
should have
gun
been
in.
made on that play. Please, just whatever. Look, the dude deserves it. He's probably the best kicker in the game. Yeah, I get it. I'm a little bitter for being in the stadium when his record-breaking kick happened, and
You
as
were in
much as
that
I
end
love,
zone.
I was in that end zone
Watching
looking.
the ball come right to you.
Don't tell me what I saw, because I saw it. Trust me. So whatever. I mean, dude's getting paid. He's going to be somebody's number one kicker in fantasy football. That's all this is. All right, I'm done talking about Justin Tucker.
Okay.
Screw you, Justin Tucker.
And lastly, in NFL news this week, Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati will now be known as Paycor Stadium. Another corporate name going on a classic stadium that should never happen.
This baffles me.
And from what I understand, this is a 17-year agreement with Paycor, even though no terms were agreed or announced, so we don't know how much they're paying for it. But a 17-year agreement to take Paul Brown's name off a stadium. The man founded the team. He founded two
teams.
NFL teams in the state of Ohio. He had his name on both stadiums, and now all of a sudden, we don't care about Paul Brown and his history anymore. We want our money, so let's go to Paycor, and let's make it Paycor Stadium.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I hate this so much.
I have no idea. I didn't even bother to look up to see how NFL Twitter felt about this.
It's terrible.
But
years ago, there was talk about Soldier Field getting a corporate sponsor, and I remember distinctly them saying, we've decided that we want to be, we don't want to tarnish the memory of the soldiers that we're honoring at the stadium, so we're always going to be Soldier Field, and they've never put a corporate name on it since. So, not to say it won't happen sometime in the future, but I really respected the Bears for doing that. I hate this.
So I think I also saw that the Bengals were looking at adding a bunch of stuff to the stadium too, like converting some area to like a nightclub kind of area. They're really looking at hipping up the joint. So maybe this has something to do with it. Maybe it has something to do with them trying to get into the $3 billion club like we were talking about a minute ago. But to even not even just call it Paul Brown Stadium presented by
right.
whatever,
Yeah.
which I think should have been with a name like Paul Brown Stadium. And granted, the stadium's not a big historic landmark, but you've got the guy who owned the team, who created 2 NFL franchises on the stadium, and you're just going to throw that away for some cash? You cold-hearted sons of guns. You literally are selling your soul after you got to a Super Bowl. Is this the extra step you need to go win a Super Bowl? I don't know. I hope you don't get to a Super Bowl now for trashing that name.
I wonder what the fans down there are thinking, because, the fans at Heinz Field were not happy with their corporate name that's going on Heinz Field. So I have not heard. I mean, I just heard this today. I guess you said this to me this morning. So I want to know what is the reaction going to be of Bengals fans. In fact, I know a Bengals fan, and I should reach out to him and ask him, what do you think about this naming of the stadium and Paul Brown's name not being associated?
As
with
I'm
it
just
anymore?
scrolling through, I mean, you're getting a couple people who are obviously upset, and some people saying the same thing I did, like it should have just been Paul Brown Stadium presented by, or Paul Brown Stadium at Pig or Field at whatever.
Right.
It's incorporate that somehow is what it's looking like.
That I could at least accept.
People accusing it being because they're trying to get big and hip. So whatever this app is, which even people are trashing the app. That's
I don't even know what Paycor is.
I don't even know.
Is it a financial app that you have on your phone or something?
I have no idea.
I don't even know what it is.
But
I hate it.
I hate it. And I just, like I said, I know it's not even a historic stadium. It's only been around for 22 seasons.
Sure.
So, but boy, it is kind of sad to see. And in this, I just saw a tweet that said, in the same offseason, we have lost Heinz Field and Paul Brown Stadium. Yeah. And hey, say what you will about Heinz Field's sponsorship, but they've been there since the beginning when they built that stadium. Right. So that's a little different.
It had no other name. It was, it had a corporate name right from the start, and so I was fine with that. But man, this just really hurts me. I don't like this at all.
Yeah, and some fans will probably still call it Paul Brown Stadium.
Yeah. Just
like people kept calling the Sky Dome, even when it was the Rogers Center.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah, it looks like a healthy mix of people who are just accepting it, and some people are like, I refuse to call it that stupid name. So.
Okay. All right. I do have a little correction
what'd you screw up
from last week? Well, last week, we were talking about the Quad City Steamwheelers, and
congratulations to them. They made it to the IFL Championship.
Yep. And I was trying to remember where their home stadium was, and I thought
Illinois?
They were playing. Yeah, as it turns out, their stadium is actually in Moline, Illinois, which is across the river from Davenport, Iowa. And I thought they played in Davenport, but now that I recall it, yes, they're in Moline. But I knew that there was a city in Iowa right across the river from their stadium, and it started with a D, and I kept thinking Des Moines, but I knew it wasn't Des Moines, but I couldn't think of it. So, yes, the correction is the Steamwheelers play their home games in the iWireless Center in Moline, Illinois, across the river from Davenport, Illinois. So I just wanted to set that record straight. I know we talked about that last week. And speaking of arena football, there was another game, a couple of games that have been posted on Arena Football TV on YouTube last week. But the game I'm most interested in is a 2000 game between the Oklahoma Wranglers and the Milwaukee Mustangs. Now, they only have the first half of this game, but what I like about this game is that the Oklahoma coach was Bob Cortez, who went on to be the Grand Rapids Rampage head coach in 2004. The Milwaukee coach was Rick Frazier, who was also on the staff of the Rampage in 2004 as offensive coordinator, I think. And when Bob Cortez decided he didn't want to be there anymore and just left, Rick Frazier took over. So he was also the head coach of the Rampage in 2004. And the quarterback for Oklahoma during this game was a guy by the name of Jeff Lutz, who went on to play quarterback for the Grand Rapids Rampage in 2004. So that's why I picked up on this game. So many people that have Rampage connections were in this game. 4 years later, they'd all be in Grand Rapids. So that was
and they pretty much burned that franchise to the ground.
But I'm just saying, I got to speak to Bob Cortez after some games, and I got to speak to Rick Frazier. And
not to throw him under the bus. Wasn't he a really tough guy to speak to after games? After a while?
There was one game of Bob Cortez, a particularly bad game, and I always he would come down to the field, and I would be on the field talking to players, talking to the coaches, and I waited for him to get through talking to a kid in a wheelchair and sign a football for him or something, and he took off leaving the stadium, and I literally had to chase him down, and I ran with him. Not ran, but I walked very quickly alongside of him while I tried to get a quote or two about the game. But he was not really willing to talk to anybody or stop, so he just kept on walking, and he walked right out of the stadium, and I went as far as I could. Got a few little quotes to use in my article, but man, yeah, he was.
I think I remember
he
that.
Was a little, he was a little difficult to deal with sometimes, but yeah, this was interesting when I saw this game and noticed him and Rick Frazier and Jeff Lutz all playing in this game or being in this game. So that was interesting. All right, moving on to today's birthdays. For August 9th, defensive back Deion Sanders turns 55 years old today. He played his college football at Florida State and was the 5th overall pick in the 1989 NFL Draft by the Atlanta Falcons. He played for the Falcons from 89 to 93, the 49ers in 1994, the Cowboys from 95 to 99, the Washington Redskins in 2000. Then he retired for 3 years before returning to play for the Baltimore Ravens in 2004 and 2005. He was also drafted by the Kansas City Royals in 1985 of Major League Baseball, and again in 1988 by the New York Yankees of Major League Baseball. He wound up... where am I at here?
He played center field from 1989 to 2001.
I got so many facts about him here. I'm losing my place. But yeah, he played center field in Major League Baseball from 89 to 2001 with the Yankees, Braves, Cincinnati Reds, and the San Francisco Giants. He played in the 1992 World Series for the Atlanta Braves, but his team lost to the Toronto Blue Jays that year. That was the year I was going to go to see my first CFL game, and the game I was going to go to got moved a day because the World Series was going on. So I had to wait another year until it worked out that I could actually go to my first CFL game. So he won 2 Super Bowl titles, one with the 49ers and one with the Cowboys, and he's the only person to play in a World Series and a Super Bowl. He's the current head coach of the HBCU Jackson State Tigers, and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2011. Man, that's quite a resume.
I didn't
for this
realize
guy.
that he played so long in Major League Baseball. I knew for a while it was a back and forth because, there was one time where he played in an NFL game and in a Major League game in a day. Isn't that a record too?
Probably
something like that. I didn't know it was that long. Up to 2001.
Bo Jackson kind of did the same thing. I think playing baseball and football.
That's just insane to me.
But he was good in both sports. And could have made a career out of either one, and obviously did pretty well in both. So. And then another birthday today, defensive end Aiden Hutchinson turns 22 years old today. Played his college football in Michigan and was the 2nd overall pick by the Detroit Lions in this year's NFL Draft. You may not know this, but his sister, Aria, is the current Miss Michigan USA.
Wow, I wonder if she'll get brought into Hard Knocks somehow.
I don't know. I saw some pictures online today of her. He's got 2 sisters. He's blonde. Both of his sisters are blonde. And there was a picture of his 2 sisters holding him up in the air, holding him in their arms at Ford Field the other day when they had their practice at Ford Field.
Yeah.
So, but she is the reigning Miss Michigan USA. And the last birthday today is quarterback Doug Williams. He turns 67 years old today, played his college football at Grambling State, was the 17th overall pick in the 1978 NFL Draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He played in Tampa from 78 to 82. Then he jumped to the USFL, where he played for the Oklahoma Outlaws in 84, and then they merged with the Arizona Wranglers and became the Arizona Outlaws, and he played in Arizona Outlaws in 1985. That's when I got to go see him play against the New Jersey Generals in 1985 out in Arizona. Then he came back to the NFL, where he played with the Washington Redskins from 86 to 89, winning Super Bowl 22 and being named MVP of the Super Bowl. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2001, and he was the head coach at Grambling, where he played in college from 98 to 2003, and again from 2011 to 2013, posting a coaching record of 64 and 42. So, happy birthday to Doug Williams, Aiden Hutchinson, and Deion Sanders. We also have 3 obituaries to talk about today. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first one is Jack Delaplane, a running back in the NFL for 4 seasons. He's passed away at the age of 68. Delaplane played college football at NAIA Salem College in West Virginia and was selected in the 6th round of the 1976 NFL Draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He played in Pittsburgh from 1976 to 1978 before he was traded to the Washington Redskins during the 1978 season. He also played for the Chicago Bears in '79 before being traded back to the Steelers to end his playing career. He won 2 Super Bowl titles with the Steelers, so not a bad short career for him.
Okay. And then our second obituary is that of Darren Gilbert, an offensive tackle in the NFL for 4 seasons, has passed away at the age of 58. Gilbert played college football at Cal State Fullerton and was selected in the 2nd round of the 1985 NFL Draft by the New Orleans Saints. He played for the Saints from 1985 to 1988.
And our last obituary today is that of Lars Tate, a running back in the NFL for 3 seasons. He's passed away at the age of 56. Tate played college football at Georgia and was selected in the 2nd round of the 1988 NFL Draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He played with the Buccaneers from 1988 to 1989 and led the team in rushing both seasons. He then played for the Chicago Bears in 1990. However, a pinched nerve ended his playing career midway through the 1990 season. Now, they didn't give the cause of deaths for Darren Gilbert or Lars Tate, but one guy was 56, the other one was 58, so that's kind of young, so you wonder if it was, you don't want to speculate, but you wonder what was going on that both of these gentlemen passed away before the age of 60, just a little strange, I think. All right, I know you were looking at your phone, that's why you didn't
catch I wasn't right on the
your
ball
mark
there.
on the obituaries, but anything we should talk about?
We are good right now, so we can transition into your history lesson.
All right, this week's history lesson, we talk about 2 incidents on the gridiron that led to mandatory face mask usage in football. There was a time when football helmets were not mandatory equipment in college or in the NFL. And there also was a time when face masks were not a mandatory part of a player's equipment either. But 2 incidents on the gridiron, one in college and one in the NFL, caused both institutions to fundamentally change their thinking in regards to player safety. The first incident occurred in college football on October 20th, 1951. Johnny Bright was an African-American quarterback at Drake University. He and his team were on the road taking on Oklahoma A&M, which is today known as Oklahoma State University. Drake was 5-0, while A&M had a record of just 1-3. Very early in the game, Bright handed the ball off to a running back and was standing behind the line of scrimmage watching the play develop. That's when defensive tackle Wilbank Smith of A&M ran up to Bright and punched him in the face with his fist. The punch was so severe that Bright's jaw was broken and eventually had to be wired shut in order to heal. This racially motivated attack was captured in a series of photographs and published on the front page of the Des Moines Register newspaper, as well as on the front page of the New York Times. A&M went on to win the game 27-14. Even though he played very little for the rest of that season, Bright still finished 5th in the Heisman Trophy voting in 1951. The second incident occurred 2 years later on November 15, 1953. The Cleveland Browns were hosting the San Francisco 49ers. In the first half of the game, quarterback Otto Graham was struck in the face by a San Francisco player's elbow. Graham was taken to the locker room where the team trainer had to use 15 stitches to close up a large gash on his cheek. Some NFL teams had been experimenting with clear lucite face masks at the time, and there just happened to be some in the Browns' locker room. One was attached to Graham's helmet before he left the locker room and returned to the game for the second half. Graham led the team to a 23-21 win that day and improved their record to 8-0 on the season. Both of these incidents showed that face masks of some kind were needed in order to protect players from serious injury. And changes were made by both the NCAA and the NFL within the next few years. Johnny Bright was selected with the 5th overall pick in the 1952 NFL Draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. He instead decided to head north and play pro football in the Canadian Football League. He enjoyed a very successful 14-year career in Canada, where he set many league records playing for the Calgary Stampeders and the Edmonton Eskimos. He led Edmonton to 3 consecutive Grey Cup titles in 1954, 55, and 56. He retired from the CFL after the 1964 season and remained in Edmonton for the rest of his life, becoming a middle school teacher and a principal. Bright was elected to the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in 1970 and the College Football Hall of Fame in 1984. After his injury in 1953, Otto Graham led the Browns to the championship game that season, where they lost to the Detroit Lions 17-16. Over the course of his career, Graham led the Browns to 10 consecutive championship games, 4 in the All-America Football Conference and 6 in the NFL. He won 7 of them and retired from the NFL after the 1955 season. He was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1965. It is sad to think that it took the serious injuries of 2 future Hall of Fame players in order to get face masks mandatory in both college and in the NFL.
You know, it's tough to imagine football nowadays with as violent as it can get without face masks.
Right,
so
yeah.
Probably a good call to go with those.
Yeah, well, it was many years that nobody had a face mask, and a lot of players didn't want it. Didn't want face masks when they came out, and a lot of them, refused to wear it. I think it was like grandfathered in. So if you'd been playing for years and you didn't have one, you didn't have to. I think Bobby Lane was grandfathered out of that when they made it mandatory. I think it was around 1955. But so some players didn't want to use it, and others went along with it. So it's hard to imagine that now. Playing without a face mask. It's just unthinkable. Okay, upcoming events calendar. Today, HBO's Hard Knocks premieres tonight, featuring the Detroit Lions at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
HBO. So, we're going to watch that tomorrow. And
probably put a video up.
Yep, we're going to try and put our own take on the episode after we watch it. Yeah. So look for that tomorrow. Hopefully you can get that up tomorrow. Maybe it might take till Thursday.
If we do it right, I think I could get it up tomorrow evening.
All right.
If I work really hard on it and we, get everything knocked out, I'm debating on watching the episode while I'm at work, just to also give me some extra time to think and prep notes.
Well, I wasn't going to watch it till you got home. I figured we'd watch it together.
Yeah.
So if you're going to watch it at work, let me know so I can.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll let you know.
Watch it at home. But today was also supposed to be the inaugural season kicking off for Major League Football. 4 teams, a 4-week season. I don't think it's going to happen.
We haven't heard anything today. There's been some bad news.
I saw a couple of videos last night where the local TV station in Birmingham, where one of the teams was practicing, was saying that they got thrown out of their hotel or locked out of their hotel. They had to find their own way to go home. Now this was about a week ago, so I don't know if anything has happened since then to get the season underway today. I really don't know. I was looking for tickets. They were going to have the Ohio Force. They was going to play in Tom Benson Stadium there at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and they had tickets for sale for 3 games. I still could have bought a ticket last night. I forget what through their website. I don't know if it was Ticketmaster or what, but yeah, they were still trying to sell tickets as of last night to these games. So I don't know what's going on. But I don't think this league's going to happen. I think they're just going to be another failed footnote in leagues trying to get started and play in the fall. And this league, they've been trying to get started for many, many years. And something always comes up, and they keep postponing. And they were going to have teams all over the country, and now they were down to 4 teams. So I really don't think this is going to happen. But if they do play, we'll have scores for you.
Yeah. I just did a search on Twitter. I can't find nothing.
Yeah,
so.
Their website is
I wouldn't even talk about it at this point.
Let's see. Wednesday, August 10th, tomorrow, Season 2 of Eli's Places debuts on ESPN+. I know you didn't like that as much as Peyton's Places.
I think I watched really one or two Eli's Places. It just...
He had some good stuff.
I'm sure the content's fine. It's just his personality versus Peyton.
True.
Was a little, it's so... when they're together, that's one thing. But when it's just him, not really a fan. I just...
But he had some interesting stuff. I mean, he went to where the very first college football game was played. Rutgers versus.
I saw the one with him and Nick Saban. Like that was okay.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't floored with that episode. So.
But I mean, the subject materials that he has are really good.
Hey, and that's all that matters. Sometimes you just got to get a host.
Yeah, fascinating stuff to watch and places he's going to. Saturday, August 13th, the IFL Championship game, Quad City Steamwheelers versus the Northern Arizona Wranglers in Las Vegas. That same night, it's going to be the National Arena League Championship game. The Carolina Cobras are going to be playing at the Albany Empire.
And I think we're both on opposite sides of both games. I'm taking the Wranglers over the Steamwheelers in the indoor football.
That's just what I'm rooting for. I mean, yeah.
I'm taking the Wranglers. Who are you taking?
I don't know. I just want the Steamwheelers to win.
Okay, so you're rooting. Okay, so you're taking the Steamwheelers. All right, and then in the National Arena League, as much as I like Albany, I'm kind of pulling for and thinking the Cobras will take it.
Nah, Albany at home, no, they'll win that game.
I don't know. So. I'm willing to bet kicking you off the show for another week to do that.
And then next Tuesday, August 16th, our 5th anniversary spectacular.
Oh my God, have we been together that long?
Yeah, completing 5 seasons of doing this, so only missing a handful of shows in 5 years.
You missing? We were on a break for a few weeks, which we should do more often. By
237 straight weeks without a missing show. Then we took a little break for 5 weeks, and then after that I missed another one, which you and your brother filled in.
So hey, for me, 257 complete episodes is exciting for me. 256 for you. I mean, whatever. I mean.
But no, what I'm planning to do next week, we're not going to do a history lesson next week, but we are going to have highlights from not just last year, but all of our seasons. I'm going to pick one highlight from our first year, one from the second, third, and fourth. So we're going to have at least one highlight of something that happened.
I'll guarantee it'll be the clip of our first show because of how bad that audio quality was.
I don't think so. Because we've done this every year. We've done highlights of the previous year on every one of our anniversary shows. So I just want to include something from the first 4 years, and then we've got like 4, 5, or 6 from this past season. So we'll get all those out there next week. So look for our recap show and some of our highlights and lowlights of this past year. Let's see. Tuesday, September 6th was supposed to be the Major League Football Championship game in Canton. That's probably not going to happen, so I'll probably take that off the list. And then Thursday, September 8th, the NFL regular season.
We're less than a month away.
With the Buffalo Bills at the LA Rams.
Less than a month.
We're off.
We got a preseason game on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it's back.
Yep.
No, there will be no Sundays from here till February without football.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we've still talked about going to a CFL game. I don't know if it's going to happen this year or not.
It's going to be tough.
But, boy, we should do it earlier in the season next year instead of waiting for August.
Yeah.
But, with your work schedule, it's kind of hard because a lot of their games in Toronto and in Hamilton come on a Thursday night or a Friday night, where, I'm looking for just Saturday night games where, hopefully a weekend when you're not working, because we can drive to either one on a Saturday, spend the night there, see the game, and then come back on Sunday. You don't have to miss any work. I can go any day of the week, but I'm trying to work around you and nice. The CFL schedule, so it's been a little bit difficult. But, boy, I want to get back there for a CFL game here sometime soon. All right, anything else before we call this a show?
No breaking news as of right now, but like we say every week, it always breaks when we turn off the mics.
Yeah, so many things came out just today. Tuesday is a big day for news. And
are you saying we should move the podcast to Wednesdays now?
No, this works better for us. Or for me, anyway. All right.
It's all about you, Randy, and your 256 episodes.
You are darn right. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also follow our Twitter, which is at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted every Tuesday and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and the whole audio version of the podcast is up on our YouTube channel, which is The World of Football Kalamazoo, if you look for it on YouTube. So please come subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, and leave us your comments as we also endeavor into our weekly recaps of Hard Knocks featuring the Detroit Lions starting tomorrow. We don't really even have a game plan. We're just going to wing it tomorrow, see what kind of format we come down with. But like I said at the top of the show, if you add us on Twitter, and maybe we'll have to post something on Twitter, add us, use the hashtag Hard Knocks, and give us your thoughts on the episode. Maybe we'll feature you guys on the show. And
yeah, we'd love to know what everybody else thinks. I mean, we've got our opinions. I'm sure we're going to like it.
Or we'll just start pulling a bunch of randos quotes about Hard Knocks. I'm down with that, too.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than we do. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm apparently sleepy still. God, I've been yawning all day. What is up?
It's you and that stupid job. Get retired like me.
No. I think it's. I literally have not had a lot of caffeine today. That might be what it is. I kind of been caffeineless today.
So well, there's your problem. Have a Mountain Dew and go take a nap.
I'll take my nice cold Zevia, please.
Ugh. We'll see you all next week.